Welcome to Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I am Laura Cotter.
And I'm Skye Orchard.
We're so thrilled to have you back. If you survived last time's episode, this one will be much shorter. I'm pretty positive. No guarantees, but I don't think we can match that one with this episode.
We cannot promise anyone anything.
There were no, 16th century, 15th, 17th century politicians for me to talk about. There was no 19th century novels for me to talk about.
No opium dreams.
There was very little that could lead me down the path. So let's get into it. So this is season 1, episode 8, titled Magic Joel. The description is, Sabrina's job as a magician's assistant is short-lived when she accidentally makes the boss disappear. It originally aired on November 15th, 1996, directed by Peter Baldwin, who also directed things like Even Stevens, Blossom, and The Wonder Years. Writers Nell Scoville and Norma Saporbila are back. For guest stars, I'm pretty excited about some of these guest stars. So first we have Andrew Keegan as Magic Joel, who is just the heartthrob of the 90s. Basically, if you watched a movie or a TV show in the 90s, you saw Andrew Keegan. He was in Seventh Heaven, 10 Things I Hate About You, Party of Five, Moesha. In Boy Meets World, he was Ronnie Lips Waterman, who went on the Disney World trip with Topanga. Why are you looking at me like this, guy?
I haven't watched Boy Meets World. Shocker, I know. So
it's a good episode. Then we have Paul Provenza, who plays Ethan. He's from The West Wing and Northern Exposure, Empty Nest. He's also the executive producer of The Aristocrats.
As in the cat movie?
No, that's The Aristocats.
Oh.
And I put it in here hoping you would make just that remark.
I feel trapped.
We also have Donald Faison. He is just in this episode. You probably know him from Scrubs, Clueless, Remember the Titans, The X's, Josie and the Pussycats. Or you may remember him from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, where he plays Dashiell in a later season. So just remember, in this episode, Donald Faison is a mortal high school student named Justin, because that is not what he comes back as. And then we have Elizabeth Hart returning as Emma from Bunt Friday, and Allie Holmes as Zoe, who she's not in many other acting credits, but she does have something called Human Zoo on her resume.
Oh dear, is that another movie night? I'm scared.
I don't know. It sounds like it's got to be a horror movie. I didn't click on it. I didn't really want to know. And I didn't want it in my search history that I looked up something called Human Zoo.
Well, you don't just have a crazy IMDb history.
If anybody out there has watched Human Zoo.
I will sacrifice my search history for the good people. The 2020 Human Zoo, the 2009 Human Zoo.
I don't know. Which one has Allie Holmes in it?
You mean I have to actually search by the person?
I think you do. You could go to her IMDb page because there's only like 9 other credits on it.
Yeah. I'm doing that now instead of just searching Human Zoo. It's the 2020 Human Zoo.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She made a couple movies in 2020, and I was like, that's an interesting pandemic movie.
Human Zoo. Escape is not an option. The internet watches live as reality show contestants struggle against time to see who will stay in solitary confinement the longest and take home the $1 million prize. It is a horror and a thriller, and she is a contestant.
Okay.
Could be good. Could be bad.
Knowing that I watched the Zoom-based horror movie, I feel like I do need to actually watch this movie.
There was a Zoom-based horror movie?
Oh, yeah, it was released during the pandemic. What was it called? Host. It's called Host. It was actually pretty scary.
Okay.
Would actually recommend it. But then the same company did another movie that was all done on dash cams. And that one I did not like, because the main woman was like a crazy right-wing MAGA person, and I couldn't tell if she was playing a role or if that's who she really was. And so I looked her up, and the whole internet has that same question, whether she's playing a role for, internet clicks or if that's who she really is.
The ultimate method acting.
So don't watch that one, but do watch Host. Host was pretty good.
Movie list.
Human Zoo and Host.
What a great evening right there.
So my question was going to be, where would you go if you were invisible? But then as I started thinking about my answer to that, my question became, would you want to be invisible for a day?
I don't really see the usefulness of being invisible for a day. Like, I'm not a secret spy. We're not near any museums that would be useful to go rob.
Right?
Yeah. I don't think I want to be invisible for a day. I'll take a different superpower. Thank you.
I feel like it's like a teenage thing to want to be invisible for a day. But I'm like, that would just make my life harder. You can't drive. How do you drive when you're invisible for a day?
You be a ghost car. Ooh.
Nobody's going to believe that my '09 Corolla is a self-driving car.
Just get a cheap Tesla sticker, stick it on the back, call it a day.
So then I think my follow-up question would be, who is nosier, Salem or Hilda?
Ooh. I think they both egg each other on, but I think Salem wins.
Salem actually does pick up the phone and listen on the other line. Hilda just listens on your end. Okay, tell me what overall you thought about this episode.
It was all right. I do wish my prediction of it being Billy Joel as a magical person had been correct. But I do think we got some great Salem moments. That's the redemption of this episode right here, is all our Salem content.
But I am mad that they kind of did Harvey dirty in this episode.
I have theories.
Okay, are we gonna get into them, or do you want to do theories right now?
We will get into them as things progress, so we actually have things to talk about.
Okay. Well, I look forward to your defense because I'm pretty annoyed about what they made Harvey be in this episode, because that's not the Harvey we have come to know.
Character assassination 101.
Let's start with our cold open. Salem comes into Sabrina's room to tell her that the phone is for her, but she didn't hear it ring because he was on another call. So yet again, Salem is on the phone, and it's just normal for a man to pick up the phone at Sabrina's house, and Harvey wouldn't wonder who this man is that he's never met at her house. It's fine. He thinks it's Harvey. She tells him to scat. Sabrina picks up the phone in her room, and Harvey is on the line asking her what they're supposed to read for Mr. Poole's class. She tells him it's a chapter on digestion up to the large intestine and asks him if that's all, hoping it wasn't. He admits that he wasn't calling about homework. It was just an excuse to tell her that he thinks she's the prettiest girl in school. Sabrina can't believe it. He has something more to tell her. He likes squid. Squid rocks. Sabrina realizes she's been tricked and goes into the hallway to find Salem on the phone, telling him that he is so neutered. Which, is it ethical to sterilize your witch that's trapped in a cat's body that is also your pet?
Great question. I mean, based on the live cat actors, I would say he's already been neutered, but that's just based off what I've seen of the live cats running around there.
I did not think to check on the live cat.
I realize I pay attention to weird things there. The little live cat, speaking of live cat actors, was very cute.
Mm-hmm.
Pushing open the door with its little nose. The live cats in this episode also get their roses and orchids because they did some very cute acting there. Okay, I have a question about this house.
Okay.
Do they have two separate phone lines? The call doesn't work unless they have two separate ones, but then earlier Sabrina said she didn't hear the phone ringing and Salem said he was on a call. So how are they talking on this phone line together?
Have you heard of something called call waiting, Skye? Are you too young?
You can talk to people in your house on your landline with call waiting?
So, wait. I'm trying to... Okay, say your question. Tell me your question again. Maybe I misunderstood your question.
Okay. So, Sabrina and Salem are in the same house.
Yes.
They are managing to talk over the same phone line to each other without a call being placed or coming in. I did my fair share of listening in on calls that were taking place from another headset and whatnot growing up, but never could I pick up a phone and talk to, say, my little brother on the same line in a different room.
You couldn't? It's the same thing as listening in on somebody's phone call. So what Salem did is he picked up the phone, turned it on, because I think it's a cordless. So he turned it on, so it's just the dial tone. And then he went to Sabrina, told her that the phone was for her, so she picked up her phone. And then they were talking. She would have heard the dial tone in the background. That is where the logic falls apart. But you can have two people pick up an unused line in the same house and both use that line. Because on more than one occasion, my mom would be on the phone with somebody and I would pick up the phone to call somebody and she would yell at me to get off the line because I would start dialing the numbers or whatever. And you can talk to people like that.
And that part makes sense. There's already another call in place for that to have happened.
No, you can still do it. It's just the dial tone. You'll just hear like the dial tone in the background. I think you can.
Okay. The next time I go to my parents, I was at my parents yesterday, and I didn't know this would be a problem. They still have a landline, and they have 2 separate phones. So I will test this out in today's modern technology because it does not make sense in my brain. Audience, if you have managed to understand this convoluted drivel that has come out of my mouth as I try and arrange this tech in my head, please share if you know the answer, because, yeah. Oh, my brain hurts. It's fine.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I could text my dad. I could call my dad right now and he would tell us. But
Bill, save us.
I'm pretty sure that is a thing. I don't know. Now you've got me doubting myself. I don't know.
I'm doubting life right now. We're only in the cold open and my brain hurts.
Did you notice? You didn't notice what I thought you would notice in this scene that I did notice.
Was the cauldron shown? Because I searched really hard for the cauldron.
Cauldron was shown.
What?
Her desk has been moved, though. Her desk used to be like in front of the camera, and now it's like off to the side. But there is you can see it in the corner of the shot.
I watched that scene twice to try and find the cauldron for Cauldron Watch.
I'm sorry.
And I missed it. But then my brain, taking weird notice of spatial awareness throughout this episode here, is like, she has 2 lava lamps. I wonder how many more lava lamps are in her room. One is orange and one is blue. And is it a fire hazard still to have multiple lava lamps plugged in all the time? And I missed the cauldron.
Everything in the 90s was a fire hazard. That was just how we lived.
What was in the cauldron? Were you able to see, or you just saw the cauldron?
No, it was just like her pens and stuff again. I didn't see stapler. I didn't check for stapler, but I did see pens.
Get better, Sabrina.
Our outfit intro is a snorkeling outfit, and a shark fin goes swimming by at the bottom of the screen, and Sabrina screams.
I missed the shark fin completely, and I didn't quite get that it was a snorkeling outfit, so I just thought she was turning to the camera and screaming because she had like a striped shirt on. I'm winning. It's fine.
Were you still thinking about the phones at this point in time?
I guess. I don't know. My brain's a weird place.
I love that. Sabrina is in the slicery with Emma, who is telling her about the soccer team about to make the playoffs, but Sabrina isn't paying attention. Emma asks her why she keeps looking around. Sabrina admits that she was hoping Harvey would show up. She asks Emma to continue talking about school. Emma says she wasn't talking about school. She was talking about the soccer team potentially making the playoffs, but just then Harvey walks in and Sabrina cuts her off. Quick, pretend like we're talking. We are talking. And Sabrina's just a terrible, terrible friend for this whole scene.
Choosing a guy over friends.
Also just like fully ignoring your friend because you hope a boy you like might show up.
I also had a note that was like, who the crap is Emma? So I did not remember her from Bunt Friday. That got corrected as you told us the guest stars there, but I did not remember her at all.
I wonder if they were playing around with who would be Sabrina's core friend, because Jenny's not in this episode. Why wouldn't this have been Jenny in this role? So Harvey comes over and joins them and asks Sabrina if she'd like to play some foosball. Emma tells her to go play and she'll finish her story later. Good, because I want to hear the end of it and the beginning. And then she says, let's foos. As somebody who owned a small foosball table, not once did I ever hear anybody say, let's foos.
Missed opportunity there. Are you good at foosball then, if you owned a small foosball table?
I apparently don't play by the rules of foosball because you're not supposed to spin the handles, and that's my favorite thing to do. Like, you're not supposed to like spin them all the way around.
Okay, I was like, isn't the point of foosball to spin the handles so that they kick?
Twist them, yes, but not like, and that was my favorite thing to do, especially like at the back end, I was just like hit it really hard and make it spin, and you're not supposed to do that. Starting to make me think about why I liked foosball so much, and it's because it's everywhere in this period of time. Boy Meets World had their foosball, Friends had the foosball in the apartment. It's all over 90s teen shows. And I'm wondering why. Why was foosball chosen as the thing? I'm not asking, hoping you have an answer. I don't expect you to know.
I haven't seen a foosball table in the flesh in a while there. Where can we go in Utah to find a foosball table and we can have a battle of the foos? Let's foos.
Do you think that Quarters Place has a foosball?
Oh, maybe. It's mostly arcades, though.
Dave and Buster's says air hockey. I don't think they have a foosball table.
Air hockey's my jam. Some bloody knuckles. You're not playing right unless the puck gives you some bloody knuckles. That's what we had at home growing up, was an air hockey table, not a foosball table.
I want to know, just basically, is foosball still popular? Can we play it? Google searching like foosball in the 90s to see if there was like did big foosball invest a lot of money? And the only thing that popped up was about how .com firms of the internet bubble era made foosball one of their perks. And how that kind of faded over time and how that got killed by COVID. No longer can the big internet firms be like, come into the office. We're so cool. We have a foosball table, because nobody wants to play foosball at work. Nobody wants to go into work.
Oh, tragic. I know some tech companies and the Silicon Slopes, if you will, do have like Switches and like Mario Kart tournaments and stuff like that now to get the youth in the office.
I guess I'm just past this point in my life where I want to hang out and play games with my coworkers.
Just your former coworkers who are not friends.
Just former coworkers. But like even at work, we didn't like play games at work because it was either like we had stuff to do, or if I don't have stuff to do, I don't want to be there. That's my foosball sidetrack. That is my one large sidetrack of the episode. Sabrina is winning their foosball championship 42-38. They start playing when Libby walks by and distracts Harvey. Sabrina makes a goal and starts celebrating while Harvey isn't paying attention. He finally turns back around and asks her what, and she gives a subdued goal. And this has never happened to Harvey before. He's never been sidetracked by Libby like this before. He's never like blatantly checked out her butt like that before. This is when I started getting annoyed.
Okay. So the last time we saw Harvey was 1.6 Mando, correct?
We saw him dancing in 1.7.
No, that doesn't count. The last time Sabrina and Harvey interacted that we saw was their little courtyard ballet, cha-cha, waltz, whatever, dance number there. You know, they leave and they're both like, oh, I like each other, but they can't say it to each other. And so my theory is that this is either his really bad attempt to make Sabrina jealous, or he's just trying to move on because he thinks it is unreciprocated, and or Libby does just have a nice ass. So there you go. A, B, or C. You choose.
I could understand if she was wearing like a more like attention-getting outfit than usual, but it was just kind of like a normal Libby outfit. Like
he's also just a teenage boy.
He is just a teenage boy.
Option D.
Oh, maybe I don't like this episode. I want to like it. I like the actors in it. Sabrina arrives back home and Zelda tells her that Harvey called for her about an hour ago, but that's impossible because Sabrina was just with Harvey. Salem starts to laugh. He never tires of it.
We also get another milk placement right here, as Salem has his custom bowl with his name imprinted on it, and he is this time having some milk, and he's clearly added some Hershey's chocolate syrup into it, even though you don't see the brand name of Hershey's. It's the back of the bottle to make some chocolate milk there. I personally don't like Hershey syrup in milk to make chocolate milk.
Milk is not great for adult cats. And chocolate is really not great for cats. Does a witch-turned cat have different digestion systems than a regular cat? Because that cat would be dead.
Rules of magic have to be messing around with something here because he loves his squid, which also bougie household for him to have squid so often. He loves his tuna, and he also loves his kibble that we've heard as well, so he's like half eating like a human trapped in a cat's body and then just a cat. Magic. That's all I got.
I feel like it's kind of lazy to just be like, magic. But we can't question it now. We're 8 episodes into this show. We can't dig that deep into it.
There are no rules yet. I don't think there will ever be rules.
No, there are rules. You can't get rid of cellulite and you can't turn back time, except for sometimes you can turn back time. Zelda asks if Sabrina was on a date with Harvey. No, they were just playing foosball because Harvey is too oblivious to ask her out on a date. This could have been a great moment for Zelda to be like, you could also ask him on a date. It could have been a nice female empowerment moment from Zelda. Sabrina wishes there was some way to get his attention. Zelda tells her the best way to do that, and this is where I thought it was going to be like, oh, ask him out. The best way to do that is to be an interesting person.
Thanks, Zelda.
Sabrina's like, well, I wish I had like supernatural powers and could blow stuff up. And then she zaps something on the kitchen counter, causing Salem to tell her to be careful. Zelda tells her that's not how it works, but Sabrina does feel better now. Zelda's advice is to not be so available, get a hobby or a job, which is also really, really bad advice, because if that's how it works, I would have like 5 boyfriends right now because I have no availability for anything. So this should have been like Hilda level advice. This should not have been Zelda level advice. Zelda, for instance, kept bees as a girl, so Sabrina decides to get a job.
Okay, I think the beekeeping is cool. That's eco-friendly. Good job, Zelda. Sabrina, care about the planet.
Beekeeping is like a pretty cool witchy thing to do.
Right.
Also, we've been down this job path before. This was the Rudy Kazootie episode.
Oh gosh, I forgot about Rudy. Why did you have to bring his name back? It's
How did
cursed.
you forget? The next scene is we are back at the school at the job board where Sabrina found the Rudy Kazootie job posting.
I blocked it out of my mind. I forgot that episode entirely. The job board did not trigger me because I had forgotten it up until this point.
Well, I'm sorry.
You're not, though.
So at this job board that now has new jobs on it and not just come babysit my child, Sabrina is browsing the options when another girl asks her what kind of job she's looking for. Sabrina just wants something that can keep her busy on Friday nights. The girl admits she doesn't have a boyfriend either. Sabrina spots a job offering for a lovely magician's assistant and says that's perfect for her. The other girl calls her conceited and walks away. I didn't really understand at first why she's calling her conceited, and now I'm getting, oh, Sabrina thinks she's lovely, she's conceited. That's a stretch. I could have done without that line.
Yeah, that's a stretch. Or is it this girl thinks Sabrina is conceited because the stereotypical female magician's assistant is like sexualized. I almost said sexified there.
Sexified. Thank you, Justin Timberlake.
Sexualized there, the tight outfits, something like that. So maybe that's what this girl is thinking. Blame the patriarchy.
In the cafeteria, Joel is sitting at a table, and Justin walks up to apply for the lovely magician's assistant job. And this is where Donald Faison steals this episode and did not get the amount of laughs he should have gotten for these next few lines. This is what I laughed out loud at. Joel tells him he's not qualified. Aren't I lovely? Yes, Justin, you are, but you're not a girl. But the sign didn't say anything about being a girl. Joel asks if he'll wear sequins. Sure. A slit up to here? No problem. Well, you're too tall. Justin can wear flats. That line should have gotten way bigger laughs than it does. The fact that he wants so badly to be this magician's assistant.
Justin is here for equitable hiring practices.
I want to watch this episode again where Justin is the magician's assistant.
It's so much better.
So much better. I bet that other girl wouldn't call him conceited.
Do we get Justin again?
We don't get Justin, we get Dashiell. Dashiell is one of my favorite actors on this show. I'll have a lot of thoughts when we get to the Dashiell episodes that may be controversial.
Ooh. Keep listening, y'all.
You gotta like a season or two to get to that point.
Commitment right there.
Joel still turns him away, even after all that stuff Justin's willing to do for him, as Sabrina walks in and Justin mutters, "He'll love you, shorty," which is a better line than the conceited line.
Yep.
Sabrina hands Joel a paper, which I think is her resume, and I just want to know what's on that resume.
Babysat once.
And turned the child into a middle-aged man, but then turned him back. She introduces herself, saying she's here for the magician's assistant job. Joel tells her that he knows who she is. They're in English class together, and he sits 3 chairs behind her. One day she dropped her pen and he picked it up. Also, if he's 3 chairs behind her, how far back did that pen roll?
Sabrina got distracted by Harvey doing something. The pen flew in the air, probably hit Joel right in the face. And this is his romanticizing it.
Also, not that I don't love Nate Richard. Andrew Keegan is really cute, and I would be okay with having him as my second runner-up. Not now. I don't want a teenage Andrew Keegan now.
I wasn't even thinking that.
I'm worried somebody out there would think that. Adult Andrew Keegan is also still very cute.
Snooping on the internet.
Yes, please go look up. Pause the episode, go look at Andrew Keegan, and realize he is also very cute still.
Okay, he did age very well.
He also had a weird cult situation. Finish this episode and then go listen to the Pod Meets World episode where they interview Andrew Keegan and talk about his weird cult situation, because he didn't actually start a cult and he wasn't actually in a cult.
Did his fans start a cult about him?
He started like a little church that a reporter called a cult, but it was not cultic according to him.
We'll go down that wormhole once we're done recording. I cannot do that wormhole right now. You'll be here forever. We promised the people a shorter episode. I
didn't think I would have ways to get off base here. But
it's us.
Just wanting them to happen. He observes that she's qualified, lovely, and not too tall, then asks if she has any experience with magic. She has a little experience and prepared a trick. She places an apple on the table and then zaps it, making it bigger. Joel is very impressed with her Vegas magic. She has the job. Sabrina then struggles to get the giant apple back in her bag.
I mean, at least it's not a pineapple.
Also, she just, did magic in front of a mortal.
Yeah, isn't that a big no-no? Or I guess he doesn't realize it's magic.
Harvey comes up to Sabrina at her locker and asks if she's going to the slice through tonight, but she can't. She has rehearsal. Harvey asks if she's in a play. She explains that she's the assistant in a professional magic act. Just then, Libby comes up and says she heard that Sabrina is part of Joel's freak show. Which, how does Libby hear everything like 10 seconds after it happens? This woman's network. It's amazing. Sabrina corrects her. It's his world of wonder. Which is, that's bad. Libby tells Harvey that she's going to the slicery and asks if she'll see him there. He says sure and watches her walk away, again, very focused on Libby walking, then asks Sabrina if she's coming, but she already told him she can't. He walks away and she slams her locker shut. Joel shows Sabrina into a laundry room, which is where the magic happens. Joel asks if she wants to see him saw his dog in half. He had to practice on something before she came along. Sabrina asks how he got into magic. He thought it would make girls like him, but that's the tragedy. Girls hate magic. He still does it because it makes him feel special. Sabrina understands that. Joel wishes magic were real. Joel tells her the first trick they're going to learn is the assistant's revenge and reveals a large apparatus. Which this is the first trick we're going to learn. We're not going to learn like a baby trick. We're just going to go straight into this thing.
This is the true test of whether she has the assistant qualifications.
Sabrina says her magic never involves such large props, but that's because she's not a professional, according to Joel. She's like, I know he doesn't know he's mansplaining because he doesn't know that she's a witch, but it's still also very condescending. He makes her swear that she'll never reveal the amazing and mystifying secrets of magic, then has her step into the contraption. He is locking stocks and buckling buckles, and Sabrina asks if he's almost done. Joel tells her that his dog never complained. He closes the curtain and walks around the back. Presto, changeo, we hear Sabrina say, ow, my foot. The curtain slides back, and now Joel is in the device while Sabrina's outside. Joel instructs her to say, isn't he amazing? And Sabrina practices that, then she closes the curtain again, opens it, and Joel has disappeared. Sabrina asks where he went, and he jumps out from the back. Sabrina tells him that was amazing. Joel says it's their big finale. He starts to talk about costumes. He's thinking of Laura pantsuit with a plunging neckline. But what will Sabrina wear? And Sabrina gives a very confused look.
Justin will love that outfit. One, I'm disappointed we did not get dog tax. We do not get dog tax this entire episode. Boo. Second, did you notice Joel's shirt? I can't believe I'm talking about the fashion of this show right now.
I did not notice Joel's shirt.
Oh, this button up. So white button up, some sporadic blue splashes, I guess. And then it was a bunch of Greek statues, mostly of the discus thrower, or the formal name is the Discopolis.
You did that to yourself. You did not have to say that.
I know, right? People will have known by discus thrower. But to make it less scandalized, this discus thrower is artfully wrapped in like a blue scarf around his body, hiding certain bits. But then it's just muscly men throwing discuses all over his shirt. Quite the button up.
Joel walks Sabrina home. He always had to walk his dog right after rehearsal. Before he leaves, he lights a match and turns it into a flower. Isn't he amazing? He gives Sabrina the flower before leaving. Hilda comes in asking who that was. Sabrina tells her it was Joel, and Hilda says he seems like a nice boy, which, like, okay, you didn't even actually see him because the door was closing, like, as Hilda was walking. But okay, seems like a nice boy. Sabrina asks if Harvey called, and Hilda tells her to check with the cat. Sabrina hands Hilda the flower and walks off to do just that. Hilda zaps the flower and turns it into a bouquet. In the cafeteria, Joel goes up to Libby's table and tells them to pick a card. It will amaze and astound you. Libby quips, you mean bother and bore me, and pushes past him to go sit with Harvey and Sabrina. Libby says she can't believe Sabrina is working with Joel. Harvey's confused. She's working with Joel? Sabrina told him that she's his lovely assistant. Harvey never pays any attention. Harvey points out some pudding on her face to show that he does pay attention. Meanwhile, Joel is taking Mr. Poole's tie and saying that he hopes it's not valuable. Mr. Poole admits it is his favorite tie, and Joel cuts it. What is Joel doing? Magic, Mr. Poole. Magic to amaze and astound you. He puts the pieces of the tie in a bag and says presto changeo, and out comes the tie in one piece. Is it also cleaner? Joel has a proposal for Mr. Poole. Back at the other table, Libby is telling a story about Claire and Alice, neither of whom Sabrina or Harvey know. Libby is telling the story anyway. Joel comes over and grabs Sabrina, telling her that he has great news. Mr. Poole is giving them their first big gig tomorrow right here in the cafeteria. Sabrina asks if she has to wear a hairnet. Zelda is on the phone, agreeing to plans tomorrow evening. Hilda comes running down when Zelda hangs up, asking who that was and what's going on because she could only hear Zelda's half of the conversation. Zelda tells her it was her old college buddy. Galileo? No, Ethan. which is another age alert. So Zelda went to college with Galileo, who lived between 1564 and 1642. So we'd say like 1580s was when she was in college. We were thinking they were born in the 1530s-ish. In 1390s-ish. That's what we thought they were.
How did Zelda manage to go to college in what I assume would have been the Western world before 1860s, essentially, when women were actually allowed to go to college? And then how many times do we think Zelda has gotten bored and just gone to college again and gotten another degree?
Oh, so many times. That girl has a degree in everything. Probably everything science related, math related.
Because for England and the US, it was both around 1862 or 68. I guess Galileo was Italian?
There's a whole Wikipedia page called Timeline of Women's Education.
In the beginning, men were dicks.
Oh, okay. Here we go. There was an Italian woman who was able to earn a law degree in 1237.
Good job, Zelda. Good job with that law degree.
And then another one, there are some other women involved in Italy in the university system in the late 1300s. Okay, so if she went to school in Italy, potentially even Spain. There we go.
Learned something today.
Ethan is coming over for dinner. Zelda clarifies it's not a date, it's dinner with a colleague, and Hilda is welcome to join. Hilda says she'd rather die. Sabrina comes down in a pink sequin dress, pink gloves, and a big pink feather in her hair. She asks her aunts how she looks, and Zelda says she looks like a cheesy magician's assistant. His name is Joel. They are performing in the cafeteria tomorrow where all eyes will be on them, and Harvey will have to notice her. Girl, everybody can notice you in that dress. You'd have to, I don't know how you can not see that dress. Sabrina and Joel are performing in the cafeteria and students sit in the audience. Harvey wonders what Sabrina is doing up there and when did she join a magic act? And at this point, I was just done with Harvey. Joel pulls out his trick of unlinking some rings and they're still linked. The students laugh. He tries again and they are still linked. Sabrina offers a, "Isn't he amazing?" And Libby replies, "Amazingly lame." Joel whispers to Sabrina that he can't take the pressure. Sabrina tells him he can do it and to move on to the tie trick. Mr. Poole offers up his tie again, saying that he loves this trick. Joel says he hopes this tie isn't valuable as he pulls out some scissors and cuts it. He puts the pieces of the tie in the bag, and uh-oh, Mr. Poole laughs. "You mean presto." No, Joel messed up and cut the wrong part. It's still in pieces. He ruined Mr. Poole's grandfather's tie.
Which, okay, we now know why it's his favorite. But you work in a school with youths who are sticky and gross, and maybe keep that tie at home and get something more fashionable for school, Mr. Poole.
Also, assuming this tie is a hand-me-down, it's been through 3 different wearers now. My dad has some old ties from like when I was younger that like he's had to throw away because they've been fraying on the bottom. What is this tie made out of? How is this tie holding it together? Did Mr. Poole get this tie when his grandfather died and then his father died and now it's his? And so it's been through like 100 years of wearing?
Maybe there's enough frog juice from Mike's Cadaver Shack that has seeped into this tie that it is basically preserved now from the whatever chemicals, the embalming fluids.
Do embalming fluids work on fabrics?
In a magical world, they do. I'm making the rules.
If you're a mortician, you can email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com.
I feel like that's a science fair experiment we can do at home with our scientific method.
You find the embalming chemicals and we will do this together.
You're a chemist. We'll just make the chemicals.
I'm not gonna make formaldehyde.
I think I did actually Google search once how to make formaldehyde because my friend Liz and I were looking at doing prison tattoos and then it just went down. How do you oh, it might have been chloroform.
Why? Were you gonna knock each other out before you did your sketchy tattooing?
It was a Google wormhole, and sorry to whichever government employee had to watch those Google searches that night. But basically the internet will tell us. We thought we'd have no tangents this episode.
Sorry, my brain's gonna be stuck on that comment for a minute. So Joel has ruined Mr. Poole's tie. Skye does not have a prison tattoo, I'm assuming?
I did not.
Okay.
We did consider it, but then we would have had to go get India ink and the needle, and it was late at night, and so we were lazy.
And that's what stopped you.
We did write prison tattoo on each other's ankles in Sharpie, though. I have a photo of it somewhere.
I hope you know. I hope this podcast goes huge, so like millions of people hear about your prison tattoo story. Libby is still around because we're talking about the show. Libby smirks in the audience, and Sabrina gives another, "Isn't he amazing?" Sabrina tells him to go to the big finish. Joel announces that he's going to make Sabrina disappear, and Libby remarks to Harvey that Sabrina found a perfect boyfriend. Harvey is confused, asking if Joel and Sabrina are going out. That's what Libby heard. Joel has Sabrina strapped into the magic apparatus and then pulls the curtain around, disappearing behind it. The curtain moves again, and now Sabrina is out of the box while Joel is in. Sabrina pulls the curtain back again, saying Joel will now disappear. Joel tells her to wait. His pants are stuck. The trick is ruined. Sabrina says that they'll make it work and zaps him. She pulls the curtain open again while he protests, but Joel is gone. Everyone claps, and even Harvey and Libby are impressed. Sabrina ends the show and closes the curtain and searches for Joel. He's still in the stocks and asks if he is invisible. Sabrina slowly reaches up and pokes the invisible Joel in the eye.
During the practice scene, we saw like the red curtain, right?
Mm.
But now we have a secondary curtain that's this weird, much larger blue florally curtain. And do we think that just lives as part of the cafeteria?
I'm going to be honest with you. I did not notice.
Look at me noticing the background for once.
You notice the background. I mean, if it's blue floral, does it seem realistic that Joel stole some bed sheets from home and hung them up as a curtain?
It's like much thicker and it seems like it's much longer there. But then it's like, oh, did we cart and haul and install 2 separate curtains for this short lunchtime magic trick?
He hauled that giant thing into the cafeteria. I wouldn't put anything past this boy. Maybe he got Justin to help with the set design.
And then Sabrina just pulls that curtain once the magic show's done, blue one, not the red one there, and just starts loudly talking about where he went and about invisible and whatnot. And there's still people out in the cafeteria.
I was assuming that they were talking quiet enough. The students aren't sitting there silent, like they're also chatting or clapping or whatever. So I'd assume they were talking quiet enough that the people in the audience couldn't hear them.
I mean, that's a valid and logical assumption.
I would assume Sabrina's not like, "You were invisible!
Where'd you go?
I put a spell on you that went wrong because I'm a witch."
Magic is real!
Joel is shocked that he's actually invisible, but his pants are not invisible because Sabrina holds them up.
Did his pants completely fall off? And that's what he meant by his pants are stuck?
I don't know. Later on, I have other issues with the magic of the invisible clothes, but his pants are fully off. He's invisible. His pants are not invisible. Also, if he wasn't invisible, what was his plan gonna be about taking off his pants in the middle of a cafeteria with his classmates sitting there watching him? Well, how was that going to go down? Why was that the choice he made?
I don't think it was on purpose that his pants got stuck and or his contraption de-pantsed him, but also wear a belt or suspenders.
He had to unbuckle and unzip. If you don't do those 2 things, the pants aren't coming off.
I mean, get baggy enough pants and it can happen.
Did you see that shirt? That kid is dedicated to his wardrobe. He is not going for that baggy of pants.
Should have gone with the velour pantsuit and the plunging neckline. All one piece there, my friend Joel.
Just saying, this would not have to happen on Justin's watch. Sabrina doesn't know what happened. She's the one who zapped him. She should know what happened. But Joel says his hard work paid off. His magic is real. She removes the stocks and buckles. And again, logical thinking, I don't think is Sabrina's strong suit. We're going to release into the wild the boy we had just turned invisible that we cannot see and hope it works out okay.
An invisible teenage boy. What can go wrong?
This show could have ended a lot earlier if she would have just said, "I'm going to keep you in here. I'm going to go get help. I'll be right." Anyway, I know she has to do it because then the show ends and it doesn't work. She needs to change him back, but Joel doesn't understand why. He is Magic Joel. Just then, Sabrina sees the curtain move because, surprise, surprise, he ran away. She runs out looking for him just in time to see the cafeteria door open. She continues chasing after him, but can't find him. Harvey comes out to ask her a question, but Sabrina says she can't tell him how the tricks are done. Harvey just wanted to know if it was true that she and Joel were going out. We heard Joel's voice say yes, and Sabrina says no. Harvey asks if someone says yes, and again Joel says yes, while Sabrina says no. Sabrina explains she's practicing her ventriloquism for the act and grabs a hold of what looks to be an invisible arm, which that was a risky move. Just reaching out and grabbing stuff that's invisible, but okay, Sabrina. And she pulls it into Mr. Pool's room and explains that she's also doing mime. Sabrina tells the still invisible Joel that he had no right to tell Harvey that they're dating. Why not? Because they're not. But Joel gave Sabrina a flower and she took it.
And now we're in preschool again.
That is some teenage boy logic, let me tell you what. Sabrina exclaims that doesn't mean anything, but Joel says it meant something to him, and we all understand why Joel is single at this point, right? And it's not the magic. Sabrina explains that they have a business relationship, following the trail of moving objects as she walks after Joel. Joel says that Harvey doesn't even notice Sabrina and that he would worship her. She'd be his everything, but Sabrina doesn't want to be his everything. Just then, Mr. Poole walks in and asks Sabrina what she's doing in his classroom. She says she came to ask him a question. He tells her to go ahead while he staples his tie back together. She asks if he enjoyed the magic show, and he scoffs. Not really. Joel ruined his favorite tie. He says there's something not right about that boy, and the papers on his desk suddenly fly off of him. Sabrina guesses maybe that was a gust of wind in this windowless prison cell.
My high school also actually didn't have windows in the main building because it was also the designated bomb shelter when it was built back in the 60s. The main hub, no windows. The extensions they have built on since then do have windows, but it is quite the experience not having natural daylight in your classrooms.
My high school was undergoing renovations while I was there, so the first year I was completely in the old building. The second year was like half and half, and then the third year I was completely in the new building, and they purposely built that building so every single classroom would have daylight, natural light in it.
Smart.
It was actually worked out really nice. I've been in other, like my junior high, I had some classrooms that were fully indoors, and but like we had windows that looked into the library because the library was like the middle of the donut. And that was weird.
There's a lot of elementary schools like that nowadays.
You could just like watch other kids as they were in the library.
I'd totally be judging other kids on what books they were choosing.
Mr. Poole tells Sabrina she was very polished and she should lose Joel. A floating book starts coming towards Mr. Poole's head and Sabrina grabs him out of the way. Sabrina tells Mr. Poole not to be so harsh. This magic thing is a lot harder than it looks. She says she better get going and yells at the empty room to come on. Mr. Poole sighs and goes to sit in his chair, but it moves out from under him and he falls on the floor. Some diagrams roll up on the chalkboard and the door slams. Spooky music plays as Mr. Poole grabs his tie. Grandpa?
Poor Mr. Poole deserves some better mental health benefits than what the school is giving him, for sure, with all these mishaps each episode that he's being tortured with.
The phone rings at home and Hilda answers it. It's Sabrina calling from the school asking for help. Hilda tells her she just needs to give him a shot of visibility powder. Sabrina asks if she can bring it to her, and Hilda replies that Sabrina still doesn't get this witch thing. Sabrina confirms that she's alone, and Hilda zaps it to her. Hilda tells her to spray some in Joel's face, and he'll be fine. She says she just has to find him. Hilda dryly replies, a 16-year-old invisible boy loose in a high school, where would he go? Sabrina puts it together, then oh no, and runs off. So then she goes into the girls' locker room. Was the magic show in the middle of the school day?
Yeah, wasn't it a lunchtime magic show? And so it was like a mandatory magic show?
Nobody was eating lunch. Did everybody just not get to eat their lunch today because they were watching this terrible magic show?
They were forced to watch it and then they could eat lunch.
These poor kids. Sabrina runs into the girls' locker room yelling at the girls to keep their shirts on. She smells smoke. Run, panic, don't inhale. The girls start screaming and run out. Then we hear Joel's voice say, mean. Sabrina says they need to talk. Joel asks if she's changed her mind.
Why would Sabrina want to date Joel and or change her mind when he's a skeevy, gross teenage boy hiding in the girls' locker room for nefarious purposes?
Joel deserves to be alone. Sabrina says no and starts tossing powder around the room. Joel asks what she's doing with that talcum powder. She says she thought he might be chafing. Or, you could also give him what we now know is cancer with that talcum powder. Maybe the invisibility powder doesn't give you cancer. She continues to toss the powder while Joel continues, saying that he knows she doesn't see much in him right now. But she will. He'll make her notice him. She flings even more powder, but to no avail. Zelda opens up the door and greets Ethan, who's very attractive. He says she looks great and never seems to age. She starts to talk about monopoles when Hilda comes down wearing a brain hat that is possibly inflatable. I don't know, it's a wild looking hat. And makes a comment about going to Harvard for tea. She sees Ethan, notices that he's attractive, and runs away. Zelda runs after her into the kitchen where Hilda is trying to pull off the hat, but it's stuck. Hilda asks Zelda why she didn't mention that he was cute. Zelda doesn't think about the way he looks. She thinks about the way he thinks. Zelda asks, isn't she going to Harvard for some tea? But Hilda was just making fun of them. She gets the hat off and declares that she's staying. She asks Zelda how her hair looks, and Zelda tells her she has brain head. Sabrina's at the slicery and sits down at a table with Emma, who asks where she's been. Sabrina has been looking for Joel. Emma hasn't seen him. Neither has Sabrina. Harvey comes over and asks if he can sit with them. And I thought he was going to sit on Joel. Like, I thought that was the joke, was that the chair was empty because Joel was sitting there. That would have been funnier. He asks about her ventriloquism and if she uses her stomach for it. And then we hear Joel say, Harvey's a loser. Harvey looks for who said that, and Sabrina says her stomach is grumbling. Then the pizza pan flies off the table and hits Harvey in the face. Sabrina, angry, gets up and starts kicking and hitting the air, running around the slicery. Everyone stares at her, and she finally comes to a stop, then takes off.
Nothing like a little psychotic breakdown in the slicery.
Zelda is talking about quarks with Ethan. Hilda finds it boring and jumps in at the first pause to ask Ethan what his favorite Bruce Willis movie is. Ethan replies Die Hard, and Hilda drills him on that. Zelda suggests that Hilda leave, and she does so, leaving them to discuss their little quirks. Quarks, corrects Ethan, but Hilda meant quirks. She goes into the kitchen as Sabrina also comes in, saying, don't talk, bad night, and Hilda agrees. Zelda is glad that Hilda left because now they can talk about the first millisecond after the Big Bang. Love me, shouts Ethan.
Oh, Ethan.
Ethan and Justin are the best parts of this episode. Zelda is startled. What? Ethan came here hoping for more than science. He wanted Zelda to look into his eyes and see something other than rods and cones. He loves Zelda, but he never said anything. He tells her he's been playing footsie with her all night. Zelda thought that was the cat, which means Zelda is used to Salem underneath the table, playing with her feet in a way that feels like footsies.
Oh, dear.
Ethan starts to leave. It's too humiliating, but Zelda can't let him leave. She casts a slippery floor spell and he falls down. She runs to him and asks him if he's okay. Then the doorbell rings and Hilda comes in carrying Salem. She asks what Zelda and Ethan are doing on the floor and they both reply, slippery floor. Zelda ushers Ethan back into the dining room because it's time for dessert. Romantic music plays as they close the sliding doors and gaze at each other longingly. Animals, says Salem. Hilda finally answers the door. And Harvey is there. Hilda tells Salem to go get Sabrina, and he mutters while Hilda tells Harvey that she has a few questions for him. Salem goes into Sabrina's room and does his Harvey impersonation to tell her that Harvey's there. She rolls off her bed and runs downstairs. Hilda says she'll leave them alone, but Sabrina makes her take Salem too. Harvey says he's there because he's worried about her. She kind of lost it at the slicery. Sabrina asks if he noticed, which, are you flattered that he finally notices you when you've been running around like a maniac? Like, that's not romantic, Sabrina.
It only took showing true psychosis for him to notice you.
I think I'm just tired of this episode. Harvey confirms that he did notice and wonders if she's mad at him, which, teenage logic again. A girl is running around, hitting and kicking the air. And your thought, Harvey, maybe she's mad at me. Okay.
I mean, he has been a little bit of a douche this entire episode.
Yeah, I mean, she has right to be mad at him, but man, there were other hints along the way. Sabrina says she's not mad, and Harvey mumbles something. He's asking her out on a real date. When? Now? Let's go. Sabrina needs to change first and asks Harvey to wait a minute. He's going to wait in his car because he's afraid Hilda will keep asking him questions. What do we think Hilda has asked him that he is so nervous to be in their house? Knowing Hilda is something super invasive, something about like his hygiene routine. Like, how do you shower? What do you shower with? Do you use a loofah or a washcloth?
What is your obsession with mailboxes and why won't you get over it?
Sabrina starts to go upstairs and runs into something. Joel. She forgot about him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That guy.
He came in with Harvey. He noticed that Harvey noticed Sabrina and guesses that he's out of the running. He wishes Sabrina would like him. She does, but just not in the way he wants. She likes talking magic with him. She asks where he is when the piano starts to play. She didn't know he could play the piano. He thought it would make girls like him, but girls like guitars. And I think, Joel, stop picking hobbies because you think girls will like it. Also, girls like a piano player. I would like a piano player. I don't want somebody who's better at piano than me.
What about equal to you? Equal partners
Equal to
in
me,
piano.
that's fine. That's fine. I don't want somebody who's better.
Were you able to tell right off the bat what he was playing?
Oh, no, I didn't pay that close of attention. Did you know?
It sounded familiar, but I wasn't going to make my brain try and figure out what it was.
Maybe I'll go back and watch it and try to have Google tell me if it can pick up what song it is. Sabrina tells him to keep playing while she grabs something in the kitchen. She runs to get the powder out of her bag and hides it behind her back as she walks back up to the piano and then tosses the powder in his face. He coughs and reappears and asks what she's doing. She's undoing. She says one day a girl will appreciate his hard work, at least by late college. They guess this is it. Oh wait, they have English class together. They'll see each other tomorrow. Hilda comes back in asking what's going on as Sabrina leaves for her date, with Joel still just sitting at the piano. Sabrina just leaves a boy behind. Sure, okay. Hilda asks Joel who he is, and he is shocked that she can see him. He can also see that he's not wearing any pants.
Grill him, Hilda. Grill him.
I would have way more questions about a pantsless boy sitting at my piano that my niece has just left behind than I would for Harvey. Let's say that the pants were on. I mean, the pants had to already be off when he turned invisible because the shirt's invisible, his boxers are invisible, his pants you can see, unless the stuff has to be touching him to turn invisible. But then everything else he touched. Okay, the pants were off. We're gonna go with the pants were already off.
Yes. He had to be fully been pantsed and then zapped.
Pants were not touching skin. Libby is in the locker room taking off her shirt, and Joel sneaks around the corner. He walks up closer, and she turns around, asking what he's doing in here. Disappointed, he asks if she can see him. Like, that, you don't, okay. No chance of an excuse. You just go straight to, you can see me? She sarcastically replies, no, he's invisible. And he gets excited, asking, I am? No, she screams at him to get out. He was sure he got it right. He was Magic Joel once, and he will be again. She tells him again to get out, and he runs off. Libby mutters that she hates magic. We are in the end tag. The phone rings and Zelda answers it. It's Ethan. She tells him that he's welcome. Then we hear, oh, well, yes, anytime. I'd like that. What are you doing now? Oh, you're at home? You're eating a can of tuna? Salem, I can't believe you tricked me. Then she hangs up the phone angrily. Cut to Ethan at his house on the phone with a can of tuna and a fork sitting on the table next to him, calling Zelda's name. He hangs up, wondering what her problem is. He continues to eat his tuna. Do you eat tuna straight out of a can with a fork like that?
I do not, but also, in the words of Bruce the Shark from Finding Nemo, fish are friends, not food.
That's right. You don't like fish anyway.
Yep.
I mean, I guess if it was like emergency preparedness time and I had to dig out the tuna because we just had an earthquake and I can't use anything else, I guess I would eat the tuna out of the can, but
yeah.
Any other comments about this episode before we wrap it up?
Joel. You should have been Billy Joel.
And Harvey, do better. Our next episode is season 1, episode 9, Geek Like Me. Skye, do you have thoughts on what that might be about?
Geek Like Me. Harvey and Sabrina are gonna bond over their geekiness, and then Libby's gonna start calling them geeks instead of freaks, and then we'll get a parallel universe of freaks and geeks. Is Freaks and Geeks out at this time? Or is it about to come out?
No, it's not out. We got 3 more years.
No parallel universe then. Hopefully we get some nerdy jokes. That's my hope and dreams, and no more Magic Joel.
I think we're done with Magic Joel.
Huzzah.
Like, share, rate, subscribe, do all that stuff. Email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com if you are a mortician or if you know somebody who is a mortician. If you have theories on the pants controversy or why Harvey is acting the way he's acting.
If you know how house landlines worked in the 90s, please help.
If you are from AT&T, follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod. And until next time,
stay magical.